Have you ever heard a sentence so simple, yet it reveals a whole personality? When Wang Yibo calmly said, "I'm the protagonist, so I have to go," some people laughed, some people frowned, and others suddenly felt they understood him a little more. Was it arrogance? Was it pure honesty? Or was it something much deeper about responsibility, pressure, and how a young star survives in a noisy world? Tonight, on Star Watch Now, we are not just replaying that quote. We are going to decode it, and through this one short sentence, explore who Wang Yibo really is and what his story quietly says about all of us. Stay with me until the end, or you might discover that this controversial line is not just about an idol, but about how we choose to show up in our own lives. I'm the protagonist, so I have to go. At first glance, it sounds almost too simple. Yet the more you sit with it, the more layers begin to appear. In that moment, Wang Yibo was not delivering a poetic line from a script. He was answering a practical question. Why, in the middle of a crowded schedule and swirling conversations, did he still insist on attending that event? Many public figures in his position might have chosen a safer route. They could have spoken about teamwork, mutual respect, or long-term cooperation. None of those answers would be wrong, but they would feel familiar, polished, and slightly distant. Instead, he allowed the most direct thought in his mind to become the answer on his lips. "I'm the protagonist, so I have to go" is not a declaration of superiority. It is a statement of obligation. It carries the quiet understanding that when your name is on the project, your presence is not optional. You are not just the face on the poster. You are the person who must turn up, regardless of how noisy the background becomes. This is part of why the sentence traveled so far online. Some people laughed because the logic was so blunt and undeniable. Others felt a slight discomfort, wondering if it sounded too confident. But beneath both reactions lay the same recognition. He had said something most people feel, yet rarely express so plainly. In that one short answer, the distance between celebrity and ordinary person narrowed. For a brief moment, audiences were not just looking at a star. They were watching someone trying to do his job and naming his responsibility in the simplest possible way. That is where the story truly begins. To understand why this sentence feels so characteristic, you have to see it as part of a larger pattern in Wang Yibo's public life. He has often replied in ways that are concise to the point of being almost abrupt, especially in a world where others choose long, flowing expressions of gratitude or affection. When he acknowledges that fan-made edits are impressive but admits he does not actually watch them, it can sound unexpectedly cool. When he says he is not good at speaking sweet words just to please his supporters, it may seem almost too truthful. Yet there is a certain consistency running through all of these replies. He refuses to dress his feelings in colors that do not belong to him. "I'm the protagonist, so I have to go" belongs to the same family of statements. There is no appeal for sympathy, no attempt to present himself as a victim of circumstances, and no effort to soften the reality of his role. Instead, there is acceptance. If you are at the center of a project, you do not disappear when it becomes uncomfortable. This is a different kind of honesty from what we usually see. It does not shout, it does not explain itself at length, and it does not ask for applause. It simply places the truth on the table and leaves it there. For some people, this can feel refreshing because it cuts through the layers of performance that often surround public figures. For others, it may feel almost too bare because we are so used to hearing the same reassuring phrases repeated again and again. Yet behind that simplicity lies a kind of courage. It takes nerve to speak plainly when you know every word may be repeated, analyzed, and judged. To remain true to your own way of speaking, even under such pressure, suggests that you value authenticity more than comfort. That, too, is part of the story hidden inside that single line. In another time, a comment like this might have been heard once and then slowly forgotten. But in the digital age, a sentence can travel faster than any car, crossing platforms, languages, and cultures in minutes. "I'm the protagonist, so I have to go" did not remain within the walls of that event. It became text on screens, captions under clips, and a reference point in countless discussions. Some people reacted with fond amusement, calling it "so him." Others, removed from the original tone and context, read the line in a colder light and questioned whether it sounded presumptuous. The sentence began to live multiple lives, each one shaped by whoever repeated it, translated it, or reacted to it. This is the double edge of modern visibility. For artists like Wang Yibo, every public appearance is more than a moment. It is potential material for endless interpretation. A facial expression, a pause, or a choice of words can be extracted from its original setting and turned into something larger than it was ever meant to be. In that sense, the reaction to this one line reveals as much about the audience as it does about him. Fans saw determination and responsibility. Critics saw a risk to his carefully built image. Neutral observers saw a young man trying to balance expectation and individuality in a place where both are watched closely. Underneath all of this lies a deeper question. How much room do we allow public figures to speak like real people, with all the rough edges and unpolished moments that implies? When every sentence can become a headline, the temptation is to speak in safe, smooth shapes that cannot easily be challenged. To step outside that safety is to walk into a storm with your face uncovered. That is what makes the line so intriguing. It is both ordinary and, in this climate, surprisingly brave. If we move beyond the surface, this sentence also opens a quiet window into how Wang Yibo might view his place in his work. Being the protagonist is not simply a privilege. It is a burden that brings its own weight. When he says he has to go, there is an implied acceptance that leadership in a project is not optional. It demands presence, even when the atmosphere is heavy or complicated. This connects directly to his other remarks about what he will and will not do. The same person who resists pretending to watch every edit or delivering lines of sweetness that do not feel natural to him is also someone who acknowledges that when it comes to his responsibilities, he does not step aside. There is a balance there that many people struggle to find. Knowing where to say no, and where to say, I will be there, even if it is hard. In an industry where boundaries are often blurred, this clarity is significant. Public life can easily spill into private space. Expectations can become endless. Yet through his words and choices, he seems to be drawing a map for himself. He will not fake a personality that is not his, but he will honor the roles he has agreed to play. For viewers who are paying attention, there is something quietly moving in that stance. It reminds us that maturity is not about pleasing everyone. It is about understanding which responsibilities are truly yours, and then standing by them with as much honesty as you can. Seen in this light, the sentence is not merely a defense of his presence at an event. It is a small expression of a much larger philosophy. You may not control how others interpret your actions, but you can decide how you will show up. You can decide which promises you are willing to keep, even when nobody sees the effort behind them. Beyond all the noise, discussion, and commentary, this moment offers an invitation to reflect on our own lives. I'm the protagonist, so I have to go can be heard as a reminder that each of us is, in a quiet way, the main character of our own story. We may not stand on a stage, but we face our own scenes every day. There are moments when it would be easier not to turn up. Difficult conversations, demanding responsibilities, situations where we feel exposed, uncertain, or misunderstood. In those times, it is tempting to step back and hope that someone else will solve things for us. Yet growth often happens exactly when we choose to arrive, even with doubts in our minds and fear in our hearts. This story also invites us to reconsider how we look at those in the public eye. If a single sentence can travel so far, break away from its tone and context, and be reshaped by countless opinions, then perhaps we need to hold our reactions with a little more care. We can still critique, question, and discuss, but we can do so with an awareness that there is a human being behind the words we dissect. For fans, this may mean supporting not only the polished performances but also the uncomfortable honesty that occasionally slips through. For casual viewers, it may mean recognizing that celebrities are learning on their feet in a very bright light. And for all of us, it may mean asking, in my own life, where do I avoid showing up, and what would change if I accepted my role more fully? In the end, this is not just a story about an actor and a controversial line. It is a story about responsibility, authenticity, and the courage to speak simply in a complicated world. It reminds us that sometimes the most revealing sentences are not the ones designed to impress, but the ones that were never meant to travel so far.